Good day, everyone. My name is Aldrin, and with my partner Kathleen, and we are the reporter for the Module 3 Lesson 2, which is Developing a Business Plan. Before we go further, we must first define what is a business plan. A business plan is a document that defines in detail a company's objectives and how it plans to achieve its goals. A business plan lays out a written roadmap for the firm from marketing, financial, and operational standpoints. Both startups and established companies use business plans. Business planning involves the attainment of goals and the way to accomplish such goals. A time frame is needed in attaining the goals. Supposing you want to put up a poultry project, how do you do it? Do you also have the skills and interests? Assuming there are no problem in money, skills and interests, when are you going to start the project? Starting the business is not the end of business planning. Ultimately, it is the consumer satisfaction that requires planning. This should be properly planned because consumer satisfaction means business stability and growth. In financial language, consumer satisfaction is profit. Thus, business planning is a continuous process until consumer satisfaction is maximized and sustained. Planning in plain and simple language is thinking ahead. In business, it is thinking ahead of objectives, strategies, financing, production, marketing, profit prospects, and growth possibilities. We already have an idea of what is business planning. Now, we will move on to the principles of planning. Here are some basic principles of planning which have general application particularly for micro and small business. First is planning must be realistic. It must be based on available human resources, financial and physical resources. If there are not enough, then it would be impossible to implement successfully the project. Any planning which is not supported by adequate resources is likely to fail. Next principle is planning must be based on felt needs. The objectives of the entrepreneur should fit the needs of the people in a community. Such, such needs can be known through observation, personal interviews, and questionnaires. Then, planning must be flexible. Resources, needs, and economic conditions change. Planning should be adjusted to such changes in government policies, required changes in planning the affected aspects of the business. Likewise, planning should be responsive to the trends in consumer tastes and preferences. And the last principle is planning must start with simple projects. In the Philippines, many people are poor and have no business experiences. The most appropriate project for them is the micro business. This requires very simple management and technology. It also needs simple and few resources in terms of funds, materials, and equipment. Such simple business enterprise has a greater possibility of success. More importantly, it provides a good training experience for operating a business. Later on, the operator can engage in better business projects as he acquires more resources and management experiences. Stages of business planning. Professor Philip Kotler, author of Marketing Management, said that there are four stages of business planning. Businesses which have passed this stage are on their way to go sophisticated planning. Many enterprises are classified in each of these stages. First stage is unplanned stages. At the start of the business, the owner manager is busy looking for funds, customers, materials, and equipment. He has no time for planning. His entire attention is devoted to the daily operations of the business in his intense desire to survive. Next stage is the budgeting system stage. The owner manager realized the need to develop and use a budgeting system. Estimated incomes from sales or expected expenditures are made. This is done to facilitate the orderly functions of the growing enterprise. Next is the annual planning stage. The owner manager drafts annual plan. He can use either the top-down planning or bottom-up planning. In top-down approach, the owner manager provides the goals and let the employees comply with them. In the case of bottom-up approach, he encourages his employees to participate in planning the goals and strategies of the enterprise. The first approach is planning in autocratic while the other one is democratic. Autocratic leader means they make all the decisions themselves. They do not consult their team or let them make decisions. Once the decision has been made, they impose it and expect obedience. While democratic leaders take an active role in the decision making process, but they involve others. The last stage is the strategic planning stage. As the business enterprise becomes bigger, a long-range planning is needed. This is a 3 or 5 year plan. Such plan has flexibility to able to adjust to changing conditions. An executive of the Xerox Corporation claims that some of their plans are being revised every day of the year. At this stage, planning develops into a more strategic character. The criteria of effective planning. First is the plan should state clearly its objectives. Next, the plan should provide measures for a satisfactory accomplishment of the objectives in terms of quantity, quality, time, and cost. The plan should also state the policies which should guide people in attaining objectives. Next, the plan should indicate what department or unit will be involved in accomplishing the objectives. It may or may not spell out the procedures for performing the requirements. Next criteria, the plan should indicate the time which should be allowed for each activity. It may be necessary to establish a target data for completing the activity. Next, the plan should specify the required resources and their corresponding cost. And lastly, the plan should designate the officers who will be held accountable for accomplishment of the objectives. Sufficient authority should be delegated to such officers or executives. Now let's move on to the components of business planning. First component is the SWOT analysis. SWOT is the strength, weaknesses, or opportunities and threat of the business. The chances of a product or services can be evaluated through the SWOT analysis. Every product or services has its own strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Planning should include improvement of the product or services in order to survive competition. Next component is the objective. This should be specific and realistic. Such objectives can be daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. For example, 10% increase in sales after 6 months of operations. Environmental factors should consider in formulating business objectives. Peace and order, power and supply, and government policies affect the business activities. Next is strategies. These are ways of accomplishing objectives. Such ways are stated in the financial, production, marketing, and organizational plan of the enterprise. And the last component is time frame. In business, time is gold. An entrepreneur must be efficient in time management. Every activity has its own time schedule. Activities which are completed on time save money.
Characteristic of a sound business plan. First, objectives should be based on clearly and defined objectives. 2. Clear. 3. Logical and simple. It must be simple and easily understandable. 4. Flexible. It should be flexible or adaptable to changing conditions. 5. Stable. It must be balanced in all respects, should be reasonably comprehensive. 6. Complete and integrated. Different plans must be properly integrated and harmonized with one another so as to ensure unity or consistency in plans.
Obtaining the facts of a business plan. A plan should cover all the important matters that will contribute to making your business success. 1. Your basic business concept. 2. Your strategy and the specific action you plan to take to implement it. 3. Your products and services and their competitive advantages. 4. The market you pursue. 5. The background of your management team and the key employees. 6. Your financing needs.
Outline of a business plan. Cover sheet. Name of business. Names of principals. Address and phone number. Business goals. Strategies. Table of contents. Section 1. The business. Description of business. Products or services. Market. Location of the business. Competition. Management. Personnel. Application and expected effect of loan, if any. Summary. Section 2. Financial data. Sources and application of funding. Capital equipment list. Balance sheet. Break-even analysis. Income projections. Profit and loss statement. Cash flow projection. detail by month for first year, detail by quarter for second, third, fourth, and fifth years. Notes of explanation, deviation analysis, historical financial for existing business, balance sheet for past 5 years, income statement for past 5 years, tax returns. Steps in business planning. First, evaluate your personal resources and interests and the resources of the community. 2. Analyze your market. 3. Choose a proper business location. 4. Prepare a financial plan. 5. Prepare a production plan. 6. Prepare an organizational plan. 7. Prepare a management plan. Businesses needed to be guided in order to move in the right direction, just like everything else in life. A business plan aids a company in a number of ways, including identifying market competitors, determining the amount of capital required, and letting employees know what the company's goals are. In order to avoid mistakes in a business management, shrewd entrepreneurs usually create their enterprises with a set of guidelines in mind. Company is therefore a significant component of business, and each enterprise that wants to succeed should create a business plan. However, there are always risks in business. Some of this can be avoided. Others cannot be avoided, like natural calamities, but their effects can be minimized. Planning can eliminate business risk. Planning can minimize cost of production. Planning can detect the weakness of the business. That's all. Thank you.